What's up, everyone? I'm GKB, aka The Governor. Today on Gamers Knows Best, it's the Drive to Work discussion, and today's topic is the Nintendo Switch. I'm going to be talking about the reveal, the Treehouse event, and my overall impressions on the Switch in general. So let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright, so let's go ahead and get right into this, and let's go ahead and talk about the reveal. Some of the Treehouse event. I'm not going to touch on the Treehouse event like too much because I think I'm going to touch on all those points as I talk about everything else that's going on with the Switch. But let's go ahead and talk about the reveal. It was definitely kind of this, rave kind of atmosphere, which is interesting. I really didn't expect that at all, coming from a Nintendo event. They're very reserved and very focused and all that kind of stuff, so it was interesting to see. I thought, as the reveal went on, we got to see a lot of people in the Nintendo camp that normally we really don't get to see. We only get to see the presidents and maybe a couple other people here and there, but we actually got to see developers talk. So that was kind of nice. We got to see some new blood out on the floor there, talking about the games and the Switch event. And what I thought they did really well is they went out and said, hey, we're releasing March 3rd, period, end of story, got that out of the way. And then they went on to pretty much the price right after that, stating how much it was in the US. It's going to be $299 for it and stuff. And I thought that was fantastic. That's what everybody was waiting for. When is it releasing? How much is it going to be? And they did that right up front, got it right out of the way. Overall the show was okay. Was it great? No. Was it terrible? No. It was kind of just meh. But I thought the weakest part of the whole show was the games lineup, honestly. And that's kind of disappointing because we're gamers. We buy these consoles. I mean, even if you're a PC gamer, you want some really good games, right? That's what you're all about. You want to play games. So I thought the weakest part of the whole show was really the games. They showed some interesting stuff. I think the games they showed were solid, but barely any of them is going to be at launch. I think there's only going to be 5 or 6 games at launch, which is really concerning. All right, real quick, I want to go ahead and touch on the Treehouse event. Like I said, I'm not going to touch on this, talk about this very long. Overall, I thought it was a good presentation. They really got in depth with the Nintendo Switch. A lot of people got hands-on with the games. We got to see a lot of demos. They really talked a lot about the games and stuff like that. And I thought that was a much better showing than the reveal. There's still, a tons of questions for the Switch that either the stuff isn't ready to talk about, or they just ain't quite fleshed out the ideas that they want to do yet. So, as per Nintendo, still a lot of questions to be had. So let's kind of move on to the hardware, the Nintendo Switch in general. It's going to be rocking a 6.2-inch screen. It's got 720p multi-touch display. It's going to run at 720p in handheld mode, and can go up to 1080p when it's docked. It's rocking an NVIDIA Tegra processor. Storage on the unit is 32 gigabytes. You can expand it. They were showing on the Treehouse event a 256 gigabyte card that you can put in there. We've also learned that there's a 2 terabyte SD card that you can use if you want to go ahead and buy that kind of a thing. Honestly, I don't really think you're going to need it based on the games and stuff that we see. And to touch on storage too, the games are also going to be cartridge based as well. And who's to say that they're not going to have some space on them for updates and stuff as well? I don't know how much space are going to be on these cards for developers and stuff, but what if it has a cache of space on there for updates and stuff where they could use that for that? We don't know anything about that yet, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. So what's in the box? So you essentially get the Switch, the dock. You get 2 Joy-Con controllers, the things that attach to the side of the Switch when it's in handheld mode, or kind of looks like an NES controller. They even stated that, which is what I thought on the first like reveal trailer a couple months back. You're gonna get the wrist strap things that connect to it that kind of extend the left and right buttons up there, which I actually like that because I thought the Joy-Cons were a little small and probably would feel really small in your hand. You're gonna get the Joy-Con grip, which is when you put all the Joy-Cons into it, it looks like the dog face kind of thing that everybody keeps saying. So you're getting that in the box. You're getting an HDMI cable and a power adapter with the Type-C connection. So that's what you're going to get in the box. I think they missed an opportunity with that, and they should have added the Pro Controller. You know, I'm not going to make a big deal about it. You know, it's Nintendo. They always like to sell all these accessories and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I see a lot of people going crazy, you know, about like all these accessories and how much they're going to cost and, you know, this, that, and the other. You got to kind of take a little bit of a step back. And, you know, I'm one of these people that I went out and spent $150 on an Xbox One Elite controller. I've also, well, actually I bought 2 of them. I've also bought 2 SCUF controllers. I really don't think it's that big of a deal. If you take $150, you could probably get a good amount of those accessories for the Nintendo Switch. So I think at the end of the day, we got to calm down a little bit on that. And if you're not into that stuff, so it doesn't really matter to you anyway. All right, so another part I wanted to talk about is the, you know, the online service of the Switch, and Nintendo is going on about. This one I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm back and forth with. I don't really like the direction they're going, but at the same time, I think it's almost like a thrown together thing, like last minute. Like, it's almost like they weren't developing the Switch to do this stuff, but at the last minute, they're like, man, everybody's really saying we need this, so let's kind of put something together. And that's what it kind of feels like with the whole, like, you know, smartphone app and, you know, this really quick put together kind of thing that really we don't know much about. They're just saying it's some kind of, you know, smart device app that you're going to use, so how's that going to work? I guess they maybe thought that this would be the best way for party chat on the go. Like, everybody, you know, these days have a smartphone, so they could use that for voice and stuff like that. But a lot of people's phones, they pay for data and stuff, so how is that going to work? You know, you either have to pay for this app, pay for the service, and then, you know, pay for the data that you're going to have to use. So another weird thing that Nintendo is doing, and I'm going to say this throughout the whole video, is Nintendo gives 2 fucks and they beat at their own drum. Now, that's no excuse for Nintendo, and, you know, their asses need to be held to the fire with this kind of stuff, especially, you know, if it's not good for the gamers in the end. They need to be building stuff that I think us as gamers don't mind paying for the service, as long as it's a service we can get behind, right? All right, let's go ahead and get into, you know, what I really enjoy talking about, and, you know, in the console corner and everything we do on Gamers Knows Best channel, and that is games. Like I said in the beginning, I thought the games were some of the weakest points in both, you know, the Treehouse event and the reveal. I think they had some really solid ones there, but the way they're releasing them and how they're coming out throughout the year is really not the greatest either. Like I said, there's only going to be like 5 or 6 launch games, and that's the lowest they've ever done for, I think, a lot of the majority of the consoles in the past few generations for Nintendo. So that's concerning, right? So at launch, you're going to get the big one, which is Zelda, which is fantastic. You know, Zelda's probably the console seller, besides Mario and maybe a couple other games. But, you know, launching with Zelda is definitely the way to go. The 1-2 Switch game, I think, is absolutely terrible. You know, I know where they're going with that. It's kind of like just one of those party games and whatever. But some of those games, Nintendo, I don't know where your QA testers were, or you didn't take a step back and look at that stuff. Yeah, you should probably rethink that one. Then they're gonna have like Just Dance, which, you know, if you're into that kind of thing, that's cool. Like, I'm not gonna say anything bad about Just Dance. There's a lot of people, like, you know, with Dance Dance Revolution that love that kind of stuff. So Skylanders, another one. If you're into that, cool. If not, you know, it's not a big selling point for you to pick up the Nintendo Switch, right? Super Bomberman, I think, is a good choice. I thought it looked really cool. I watched the Treehouse thing on the whole Super Bomberman. I liked where it was going. You know, they have this fight mode and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's co-op. Is it like, you know, a big AAA kind of thing? No. And I think that's where they're lacking with a lot of the games. You know, but back to the games, they're going to have, you know, 35 total throughout the year, which isn't bad. Some of them, you know, are hit or miss, whether you kind of like those kind of things. You have to be really into, like, the Nintendo ecosystem and all that kind of stuff to really like the stuff that they're going to be coming out with, let's be honest. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about price and resolution, because I know price, for one, is really, you know, a big deal to a lot of us gamers. Resolution, not so much for me. I could care less what it's running at. But let's start with the price. I think a lot of these games are way too overpriced for what you're getting and what the Switch delivers. I think Zelda for sure should be a $60 game, absolutely, no doubt in my mind. But some of these games like 1-2 Switch and all that kind of stuff, they're talking like, you know, $40. Honestly, $20 max. You know, Just Dance is, you know, a franchise. There's an argument to be made there. Should that be a $60 game, or, you know, cheaper? I think it would do better cheaper, but I could understand it going for 60. So yeah, I think the price is all over the place. I think the price is all over the place for the accessories. But again, my argument back on that is I don't really get into that too much, because I'm one that spends $150, $200 plus on controllers for one console, so I'm not going to bitch about accessories. Now, resolution, let's get into that. So when it's off the dock, most of the games are going to be running at 720p. I think that's fair because the screen's really small. I think that's a decent resolution for what you're going to be doing. You're taking like a full console experience on the go with you, as what Nintendo is delivering, not what PS4 and Xbox is delivering. And I think that's some key points that we need to address there. And when it's docked, you know, games, they say it can go up to 1080p. Now, Zelda, as per Digital Foundry, they did their pixel counting and stuff, and that game's only running 900p. So there's that. Again, I don't really care. I play on the Xbox. There's games that run at 900p. I still have a fucking great time with those kind of games. You know, nothing bothers me. As long as the game plays good, I could care less. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and stick on the games topic here for a little bit longer. And I wanted to talk about like some of the games that I'm really interested in on the Switch. You know, I've been kind of a little bit, you know, negative middle ground on the whole Switch thing. But I want to talk about like some positive stuff. And there are some, you know, gems in here. And only time's going to tell, you know, how this is going to play out for Nintendo. But I think Zelda is probably going to be the best Zelda we have seen in a long time, if not probably the best Zelda in the franchise with Breath of the Wild. It looks fantastic, it plays fantastic, the effects look great, the story looks fantastic. I'm not going to ruin anything. If you guys want to see like the first 20 minutes of the game, you know, there's a lot of those videos out there now. I'm definitely going to wait for the game and play it myself. I want to enjoy all that cool stuff. Another one that I think is really cool, and one of my favorite, you know, game franchises on the Nintendo platform is, you know, the Mario Kart. So you're gonna get Mario Kart 8, the deluxe edition. Really, just Mario Kart 8 with a couple other characters and skins. But they also added the battle mode, which has been missing, and that's kind of a shame. Like Mario Kart battle mode, that's like a given. Like, why wasn't it not in it? Like, why did we have to add this? So that's really cool. I'm glad that's back. It looks really good. It's running 1080p 60. Again, this is as per Digital Foundry. I don't know this to be a fact on my end. This is from somebody else's word. ARMS. I thought, like, when I first saw it, I was like, I don't know about this one. But then I watched the Treehouse event, and a lot of people playing it, and I think it has some really cool gameplay mechanics and combinations, and I like how you can switch the different hands to do different things. The outside ring, you jump off of it like a kind of like a trampoline. I think the guy even said it was. And you got supers and stuff. It's like this cool little like Street Fighter or Killer Instinct type game with like a boxing element. I think it looks good. I think it's gonna be a fun game. A pretty cool fighter, an interesting fighter that's pushing the genre in a different direction. So I'm excited about that. Splatoon 2. If you're a Nintendo fan, you're pretty freaking happy about this. They added some new features in this one. It's going to be a good shooter. So that's fantastic. My big draw, besides Zelda, is Mario. And we're going to get Super Mario Odyssey, which looks fantastic. I like that hat mechanic. When he was jumping from building to building, he kind of tossed it, and he jumped on and jumped over. And that's really cool. I'm glad they didn't do like this double jump thing, because I always thought double jumps were kind of weird in the first place, because you jump and then in the middle of the air you're pushing off nothing, but you could still jump again. So I like that they did this kind of a thing. And Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is another cool game that I think is going to be really good for the Nintendo Switch as well. They showed off some really cool stuff. The graphics look pretty good. It's what you expect from a Nintendo game. So now back to the negative parts, which is kind of the up and down thing here with Nintendo Switch, and that's the third-party support. Now we did see some stuff. We've seen FIFA. We're gonna see 2K18 is gonna be on the Switch, and some other stuff. They showed this graph of all these developers that are making games for it. But where are the games? And this is really what could have shored up the lineup for the Nintendo, and why they didn't push for it is kind of beyond me. Maybe the developers just didn't have time to do it or whatever. They got whatever the case may be. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But where's all those games that came out like this year? Like, where's Battlefront? Where's Mafia 3? Like any number of one of those games you want to pick. I think they should have went out. I mean, they definitely have those developers and publishers on their little graph there, but where's all those games? I think people would have been much more excited about the Nintendo Switch if they had more of those to offset, their not so great launch lineup. I think that would have done really good things for them, and it's really odd that none of that stuff came out. Maybe it was just a thing with the developers; they just couldn't do it, or it wouldn't run right, or maybe they did test. I don't know, but another missed opportunity there. I thought they could have done a better job on that. But yeah. Anyway, so that pretty much wraps up like my whole thing on there. My final thoughts is like, all in all, was it a terrible showing for the Nintendo? Absolutely not. Was it the best in the world? No, of course not. But it's Nintendo. And it's kind of like, we always say this whenever Nintendo does it. Yeah, it's just Nintendo. They just do whatever. But, I don't know. We got to wait and see. I think this year is going to be really telling for Nintendo. And third party, like, we really got to see some third party support. Like, I know the Nintendo IPs, they're going to be there eventually. But then Nintendo fans don't need to wait 2-3 years for that kind of stuff. And in the meantime, if they are waiting that long, we need that third party in there. We've been saying this forever on podcasts. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt right now. I've already pre-ordered my Switch. I'm in on it. I'm not getting the Switch, as my preferred console. Like, it's not taking over my Xbox slot. Like, I'm only getting the Nintendo Switch to play, those exclusives. I'm not playing my third parties on there. So I think you need to take that into account too. I've seen a lot of outrage for the Switch and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be playing all that kind of stuff on my Xbox, and I'm really only going to be playing the Marios, the Zeldas, you know, Star Fox, all that kind of stuff on my Switch. So, you know, and then there's an argument like, why would you pay all that? Well, I bought a PS4 that I'm only playing exclusives and stuff on too. So I just like games. I like playing good games. So, well, that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Drive to Work discussion. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button and let me know in the comments below what you thought about, you know, the Nintendo Switch, and, you know, do you like where Nintendo's going? Do you not? Do you like the games? Do you not? You know, I want to hear about this. This is, you know, why I do this vlog. It's all about the discussion and all that kind of stuff. And if you want to see your topics on future vlogs, leave them in the comments below too. I did one already that you guys will see here shortly from one of those, so stay tuned for that. This is GKB. I will see you in the next one, and as always, take care of your fellow gamers.